What is your name and the name of your business?
Hi, my name is Bob Corby, and I have a small press comics imprint called Back Porch Comics. And I also run the Small Press and Alternative Comics Expo space every year here in Columbus.
So you heard of it because you run the place.
Oh yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
This will be our 16th show coming up on July 18th and 19th up at the Northland Performing Arts Center up on the north side of Columbus.
Now, are you an artist, or writer, or both?
I am what I call a creator. I write and draw and don't do either well, but I do it.
I don't believe you. How did you get started in this field of art?
That's a long story. I've been drawing comics since I was in grade school and getting in trouble for it back then, and I just never really stopped. So it's kind of an ongoing thing. I got involved with the small press movement back in the 80s, which was basically people doing mini comics and trading them back and forth through the mail before there was internet. So I have a lot of friends from back then, and that's kind of what carried through when we got to doing the space, and a lot of the guys who showed up for the very first convention were my friends that were doing the mini comics back in the 80s.
Have you had formal schooling?
Only 12 years with Ron Tardino at the Art Explorer post. I learned a lot. So I do a lot of things wrong. I know, but I know a lot of things I should be doing that I don't. But.
What is your style as an artist?
That's hard to say. I like to jump around. I like to do a lot of different things. I recently, here's an example. Comics is an anthology I do every year. I have a lot of different artists involved, but for the story I did and the cover I did in this one, I worked on gray or colored paper with black and white pencils to kind of get some tones in there and not just have it be lines on paper. I do a lot of, I don't have a good example here, a linoleum cut work, where I can actually produce covers that are originals. So it's a little different than what people see generally. I have recently jumped back into some acrylic work too. Not just doing black and white artwork, but doing actually painting the background or painting the whole comic and then overlaying black lines on it. So just like to play around with it.
Now, do you have a certain audience that you look for?
Not really. Most of my stuff is pretty mild. I don't try to scare people or shock them or anything, but I don't think I have any particular age group in mind. I just do things I like to do, so that's kind of what I've been doing all this time.
How do you market your products?
Poorly. Most of my work is sold through different conventions. I run space, obviously, and I do a lot of small press shows across the country, mostly the Midwest, and that's where most of it happens.
How do you market your products?
Not very well. Most of my sales are through conventions like Space, and I also do a lot of other small press conventions, mostly in the Midwest. PIX in Pittsburgh, ICE in Dayton, a couple other shows like that.
How do you publish your work?
I self-publish everything, and I have them printed through different printers. The one I've used more recently is 360 Digital out of Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I can get short print runs from them. I don't have to get thousands. I can get 100 or so at a time, and I usually work through that 100, and then I'll go order some more, and they have my files on I must say files on file, but yeah, it's mostly PDF files, and I can just print up whatever I need.
What advice would you give to somebody who wants to have an interest in this field of art?
Depends on what they're trying to accomplish, what their goal is. I have always been, more of a hobbyist, and I do it for fun. So my goal is not to lose a lot of money. I'm not worried about losing a little bit of money, so I do kind of keep my print runs short and that kind of thing. If you're serious about it. There's probably some other people that, like, if you come to space, you want to talk to that are trying to actually make a living at it that might have some better advice than I would have. But yeah, just always be selling. That's kind of the thing. Always, promote, do promotions. Social media is a big thing now. You have to be there constantly. And some of the people who are most successful, people like Laura Innes, I don't know if you know her, the dreamer. She is always on social media and talking to her, her clients, her customers, our fans. So she's done a great job of doing that, and she's a real good example of how to do that.
What makes this event different from the other events you have attended in the past?
This is actually a small version of Space that we did to replace the show that we were supposed to have this weekend, and it's different from other comic book conventions because it's all people, all the people behind the tables are people creating their own work. So it's not just retailers coming in selling you comics of the couple big company comics, but you'll meet the artists and the writers sitting right there. So it's a lot of fun, and you get to see a lot of different things.
Space stand for?
What does SPACE stand for?
Space is the Small Press and Alternative Comics Expo, and that's exactly what it is. It's a lot of individuals doing their own work, so that's kind of what we want to promote, and I enjoy that more than anything the big companies are producing, because it's the heart is there. They really love what they're doing, and it shows, and I just enjoy that much more than a big time produced comic.
How much importance do you place on networking, and what kind of networking do you do?
I do the social media stuff. I'm on Twitter and Facebook and Tumblr and a couple other ones. I do meet a lot of people through these different conventions, and I'm not as good as that as I should be, because I know some other people here in town locally. I think I'm doing a lot more networking than I had in the past. I was always trying to make Space more of a national show, but I think more recent years I'm kind of toning it back to be more local, more local artists and that kind of thing, and I do need to do a little more of that with the community.
It's been a pleasure interviewing you.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.